Atlantic Shore's offshore wind is poised to generate $1.9 billion in economic impact and contributing to the state's goal of 100% clean energy by 2035. We discuss this and more with their CFO, Juan Carlos Puente. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare. For more information, call 1-888-569-1000 or visit atlanticare.org. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. Joining me today is Juan Carlos Puente. He is the Chief Financial Officer for Atlantic Shore's Offshore Wind. Juan, welcome to Latino Motion.
Bert, thank you very much. Appreciate the invitation.
And I'm so excited to have you here, a Latino who happens to be a major player as a CFO of Atlantic Shores. Very important for our community and certainly our area here. Tell me, before we get into the company itself, I want to get to know you a little better. Tell me a little bit about your background and how you got involved and ultimately became the Chief Financial Officer.
No, thanks for the question. Yeah, so let me probably go back into my childhood, because I think that's where everything starts. I grew up in a family of 5, 4 sisters and myself. I born and raised in Ecuador. That's where I spent pretty much all my childhood and until I finished university. My parents, they were working parents. They worked for the civil servants for most of their careers. Then they moved into more private practice, but most of the time working family. Mm-hmm. And when I reflect about some of the lessons of life that I get from them, it was really about being persistent. Always trying to become better, always trying to find ways of improving and take risks.
That's a Latino mantra, right?
Exactly. The Latino mantra is taking risks and be ready for the opportunity, because there's always opportunities and you need to be ready for it.
Now, I know you spent some time out in Europe and you've only been here 8 years. Tell me about that journey.
Correct. So when I finished high school, I did my universities in Ecuador, and that's when I moved. To Spain. I got blessed. My parents were able to help me through my education, university. And I lived in Spain for about 10 years in Barcelona. That's where I got married. That's where I got my kids. And I think during that time, which was the year 2000, Spain was going through a major transformation. And that's a bit why actually I ended where I am now. Because when I see what happened in Spain, which was a country that was going through economic challenges, and at that time they became already part of the European Union, and the European Union was really coming together and significantly improving the quality of lives of the people. And I was experiencing that transformation. So for me, when I started looking for a job, something that I was always have in mind was looking for a company that will have an impact on people. Nice. That can actually make changes. So I started my career working in Shell, and Shell has operations, of course, across the globe. Right. But one particular thing about Shell was their ability or their capabilities to make significant changes in every place that they operate. So that attracts me to Shell because I wanted to be part of something like that. And of course, with our current challenges on climate change, I think companies like Shell and EDF, which is our partner in Atlantic Shores, those are the companies that can actually make the transformation that the world requires from a climate change perspective. And Atlantic Shore is the perfect opportunity to do so. So it's really more a passion on impacting people, but with a clear mission of energy transition.
Well, I certainly love that energy and certainly that passion that you seem to be expressing in terms of being able to have an impact, and it's important, certainly. So tell me a little bit about Atlantic Shores and the job you do as CFO.
So Atlantic Shore was formed in 2018. Is a JV, a joint venture between EDF and Shell. EDF is Electrique de France. They created the JV back in 2018, and since then, really the purpose of the JV was to develop offshore wind projects, so create a clean energy, and primarily on the market of New Jersey and New York. So since then, the JV has been growing significantly. So it started with a very small team of, I think it was 10 or 12 people. I didn't have the opportunity at that time to be part of that journey, but the company has grown significantly in the last few years. We're about 200 people now. Offices in a lot of places, including, of course, New Jersey. We're about to open an office in New Jersey. We have presence in New York. We're in Boston, Houston, and we have, of course, teams spread across the U.S. and Canada as well. And all of us are, passionate to make a change. As a CFO of the company, I'm responsible for all the financial matters of the company, including securing that we have enough funds available from shareholders and also banks.
That's certainly very important, right?
Exactly. You need that support in order to make these projects a reality. So everything starts by finding or being awarded areas or lease areas where you can actually develop these projects. So we have something about 260,000 acres of lease areas that were awarded by the federal government. Those are in front of the coast of New Jersey. And we have a portfolio of projects that we are developing. Project 1 is the first one in our portfolio that has been awarded a contract to provide clean energy to New Jersey.
Well, certainly, let's talk a little bit about that clean energy, right? It's the impact, as you mentioned, not only to the residents, but to the environment. Why do you think that, investing in these renewables, such as wind energy, is so important?
I think it's just reflecting on what is happening. So if, very, very warm weathers during summer, extremely heat weathers in many places in the world. You have severe winters in many places as well. We have historic flooding levels, very strong hurricanes. All that is a result of climate change. And if we don't do nothing, then we're not going to stop that to continue and even worsen, the lives of people.
I know some people may think that offshore wind is dangerous to sea life. Is that the case?
So I think it's important to reflect about what we do. So let me start perhaps on why we do, and then I will answer definitely the questions about the sea life. So when you look into ways of providing energy, there are several technologies. You can have solar technology, you can have onshore, so wind farms within the territory, or you can look into offshore wind. I think the advantage of offshore wind is scale. If we are committed all to make a transition to cleaner energy, we need a scale. And these projects bring that scale because we are able to install a lot of capacity in the sea and then provide the clean energy that of course, states and countries are looking for. Governor Murphy has been one, if not probably one of the most important governors in terms of setting ambitious targets for clean energy. So we are all aiming to be 100% clean energy by 2035, which is very ambitious. And of course, offshore wind play over there. Now, to do so, you can only do that if you are responsible and you're responsible with the environment. If we are providing clean energy, but we are hurting the environment, then there's something out of balance in that equation. So everything that we do, all the activities that we are conducted and the activities that we will do going forward are in line with the permits that we've been awarded. We're very responsible in terms of how we actually conduct that business and the surveys that currently are happening in the coast of New Jersey. And when you look into the recent whale deaths, which is clearly something that is extremely disturbing for all of us, there is studies that have been conducted in organizations like the Bureau of Ocean and Energy Management.
And I want to get into that.
Yep.
Because that's important, the impact and how offshore wind may contribute or not contribute to that. But we're going to take a quick break. Perfect. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Juan Carlos Puente, Chief Financial Officer for Atlantic Shore Offshore Wind. And Juan Carlos, we were talking about the whales, and certainly some people may be linking that to offshore wind, which isn't the case. But tell me more.
Yeah, no, thanks. I think it's a very important question. It's absolutely disturbing to see what is happening in the coast of New Jersey, but also in other coasts where we are seeing dead whales appearing into the shore. When we look into what the U.S. Bureau of Ocean and Energy Management, so BOEM, but also the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration. So both entities have actually came out and publicly mentioned that there is no link between the activities that offshore wind is conducting and the deaths of the whale. Atlantic Shore is very much committed. Two of our core values, one is leading with science, so that means leading with data, but also being environmental responsible in the activities that we do. Have that in mind when we actually conduct the activities that we're doing in the seacoast. For instance, since 2019, we have conducted over 1 million hours of surveying activities, and over all that period, we haven't have any incident or interaction with mammals, and definitely have not heard any of the whales that we have seen appearing on the coast.
So obviously, there's a lot of advantages to wind power, and you're not causing the deaths of whales, and certainly that's not the case, and science has proven so. Let's talk about, you mentioned scale, right? You mentioned how big wind power could really have an impact as far as delivering clean energy. Tell me that scale. How big is it?
So if you look at the portfolio projects that Atlantic Shore has, we have lease areas that could probably reach a capacity of about 5 to 6 gigawatts of potential. First project, project one, is expecting to generate 1.5 gigas. That equates to providing power to about 700,000 homes in the state of New Jersey. When you look into the impact that building a facility like that could have in the economy, that's close to $2 billion. Now, in order for us to have the license to operate in New Jersey, we make very strong commitments with New Jersey in terms of the local content and how much money we're committed to spend in the state of New Jersey. So we committed about $850 million to spend in local New Jersey businesses with New Jersey employment to create the economic development that is expected, as we have been blessed to be able to work in that state.
Wow, 1.9 billion in terms of economic impact. That's certainly big, and certainly relying on renewables to meet the state's goals, right, in terms of clean energy is very critical. So this is a big piece of meeting those goals.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think the important is how you translate those targets and those ambitions into actually opportunities for the people that are looking to improve their businesses, to be part of this journey. And that's really where we are making our more local community investments and community outreach to ensure that we bring those opportunities to those people that are actually looking for that.
And I think you touch upon some of the core values that your company, Atlantic Shores Offshore Wind, has, particularly around the environment. Tell me more about some of the other core values.
Yeah, so in addition to being responsible with the environment and leading with science, the other two values that we embrace is safety. So safety is in the core of everything that we do.
Sure.
And safety is not only about the safety of the people that is working for us in our company, but also is in terms of how we develop, how we construct, how we operate the facility. So it's also safety in terms of the contractors and suppliers that are going to be partnering with us in this journey, and of course the users eventually of the electricity. So it's really in the broader definition of safety. And the other value that we really much embrace is about being a good neighbor. And you can have very ambitious targets, but if you don't recognize the needs of the communities that we're going to be operating, so that's New Jersey and in particularly Atlantic City, we don't have really the right to operate. And that's very important.
And that is very important. Appreciate that. And I know you guys came off into the region and have had a big impact getting involved in the community. A good colleague, a former colleague of mine, Ryan Tooks, works for you now, has been a great partner with like Hispanic Association, et cetera. But you guys have really made a big impact. And will that continue? Will that continue involvement in the community past the construction?
Absolutely. So there is, of course, a significant value that we could bring through the construction period, because that's where probably the majority of the spend, of course, happen. That is where our $850 million commitment is with the state of New Jersey. But of course, during operations, we are going to continue, supporting Atlantic City and other communities and surrounding communities. There's a couple of examples that I can bring to mention that. These projects, we're creating an industry that is going to last for several years. So we don't only think about building the first project, we're thinking about building the 5 additional projects that we have on the portfolio. And that is on a horizon of 10, 15 years, which means that we need to start thinking about what capabilities, what education, partner with universities to help us creating the skills that are needed to execute and operate these projects in the future.
Talk to me about those partnerships, and particularly in advancing education and certainly more STEM-related careers.
Yeah, so we have partnered with a couple of organizations. Stockton University is one that we have partnered. We actually have our first internship starting in the summer. We have already a couple of people that have joined the company, and we're really excited to have them in. But we will continue their internship program. We have partnered with the University of Rutgers, where we are one of the activities that we're doing with them. We have created an incubator for minority-owned business under the support and guidance of Rutgers University, and we also have partnered with Rowan College for supporting their education, so through funds.
And as well as Atlantic Cape Community College?
Correct.
Yeah. And I know that there's a lot of activity happening there as well. We're going to continue our discussion. We got a lot more to cover, and certainly you mentioned workforce and education, but developing that workforce and having a diverse workforce is very important. We want to touch base upon that. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with Juan Carlos Puente, the Chief Financial Officer for Atlantic Shore Offshore Wind. And Carlos, we were talking about certainly the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Prior to that, we were discussing your commitment to education. A big part of that was Atlantic Cape Community College Wind Training Center. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we are extremely excited with that one. We're one of the founding partners of that initiative. I think what is very relevant there is creating the skills and the workforce for the future, and our commitment through that organization is going to make that happen.
And I see the fact that they have a Latino CFO that the Atlantic Shores is certainly committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. You're involved in various organizations, including the Boys and Girls Club. Tell me more.
Yeah, so we partner with the Boys and Girls Club. There are several activities that we have done since we started our relationship, and it's really helping those boys and girls going through first exposing them to what is offshore wind, exposing them to a company like us, but also in terms of what we can do for them, and that's really what counts. I actually participated in an event during the summer where we show a group of kids how actually the offshore wind will happen, will work. Mm-hmm. They actually build a wind turbine, and we tested in the ocean. So it was really an exciting opportunity, and seeing the boys and girls, seeing themselves on what can actually they become if they continue studying, they got the right opportunities, was really exciting.
Yeah, that is exciting. And as an accountant, you're good with numbers, right?
Yes.
Right? The CFO, you have to be. So local economic investment that you've already made. Tell me about those numbers.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we commit with New Jersey about $150 million, but with Atlantic City, we have committed about $160 million of spend. Already about 30 has been spent by different initiatives, through, for instance, the ones that we have referring before, and we will continue to do so, and this is only for the first project. Now, as we continue developing the rest of the portfolio projects, definitely will continue expanding also our commitments to the city and the state.
Yeah, which is very important, certainly, that strong commitment. You mentioned you wanted to work for a company that really had an impact in the community, and certainly no better way than to put the money where your mouth is, so to speak. In terms of the community investment, we cover that. Tell me a little bit about the technology, about the wind power technology. I know that certainly there must be new advances, new development. Are you using the latest and greatest in terms of technology?
Absolutely. I think what is critical in offshore wind is look for the future, because in reality, most of these technologies are already in place, are already operating in several countries, including some in the U.S. But our partners, which are the wind developers, so who actually develop the wind turbines, they are constantly looking to develop new, bigger, and actually more efficient wind turbines. So we have partnered with Vestas for our Project 1 for developing our first solution. But of course, we are going to be looking for expanding the partnership with Vestas, but also with other technology providers, to ensure that as we bring these new projects into New Jersey, we're using the latest technology. And that not only applied for the wind turbines themselves, but when we look into the activities that we're going to do at the sea, so the installation activities, how we monitor the environment, how we monitor whales, how we monitor fishes, how we monitor birds, all that we are using the latest technology that is available to ensure that we bring the best into the state.
Well, in everything you just said, it sounds like there's a lot of different roles and jobs, and one of the jobs that I think may be very interesting is the maintenance, right? You have to get up into that big tower and be able to do maintenance on those turbines. Tell me about those different roles and opportunities that kids really have an opportunity to get into those very important careers.
Yeah, so I think as the industry is developing, and it's not only as a result of Atlantic Shore making the investments that we are committing to, but also as I think the other developers coming into the region, what is clear is that we need to ensure that we develop the skills for the future. I mentioned that before. So type of roles that will be required. You have engineering roles, and those are going to be really looking into how best to execute a particular maintenance activity, but then also you're going to have roles about the operators who actually go into the turbines and do the maintenance activity. All this happen at the sea, which means that also you need to be equipped from a marine perspective to have individuals and marine crews that are going to be on those ships, complemented with the maintenance and the operators to do the activities that are required to ensure a smooth operation of our assets and safe operation of our assets. Now, as we build the capabilities from a technical perspective, you're also going to be other functions. So we are increasing our procurement organization, our materials management organization, finance and accountants organization. So all those skills are required. And I think it's important that we look in our backyard and look for those individuals in the state. We committed with the first Project 1 to have about 90 jobs during the operations, 90, yeah, and those have to be in New Jersey. So that's the commitment that we have for the first project.
Now, what's your commitment to the training? Obviously, we've talked about your partnership with the schools, et cetera, but as far as the on-job training, right, it's one thing to learn it in the books, it's another thing to learn it out in the field.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that's where having very strong shareholders like EDF and Shell makes a big difference. They have actually developed significant training programs that we are going to be taking advantage of to ensure that as we train our workforce, they are also getting the latest and greatest of the training and the technology that is available. Now, that is on our own individuals that will be working for us, but then for making these projects, we need significant amount of people to support us during the construction phase. And that the partnership with unions is critical.
Yeah, and everyone has a problem recruiting nowadays. It's not easy. If someone wants to get involved and look for this real significant career, what should they do?
Yeah, so they can visit our website. So in our website, there is a particular place where you can actually look for the jobs that are opening now. And so there is always a link to the jobs that we are currently looking for. But also, you can engage through our website also and provide your details on future jobs. Now, we are going to be especially running job fairs and procurement activities and events in New Jersey, because we in reality are going to bring a lot of the jobs during construction is done through suppliers. So together with our major partners that we're going to be engaging with communities to show them what type of jobs are going to be available, how best they can actually join those companies to ensure that they are part of the transition to a clean energy.
And more importantly, I want you to help us again with the Latino Festival this year. Obviously, and it was so great that I know you participated last year in the Atlanta City Latino Festival, and it's great to have an executive such as yourself. And there's so few Latino executives that we certainly welcome and are proud to have you as a Latino executive within our community. So look forward to having you again in our Latino Festival.
Absolutely, that can count with me. I think it's very important for us in Atlantic Shore our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusiveness. And it starts with representation.
Well, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I'm sure we'll have you back in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
And unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you for joining us once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare. For more information, call 1-888-569-1000 or visit atlanticare.org. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.